welcome to really the first episode of the Respect the Drive podcast. Because in the past we've just been doing like interview series, but the reality is we just want to sit and talk about cars.
Absolutely.
So I'm Tedward, this is Eddy, and we've got a few things on our plate for today. Number one, big news in the automotive community is that Porsche just announced that GT4 and Spyder are back, and they are in fact using a 4-liter naturally aspirated 6. But
hooray!
there's a caveat. It's not the GT3 engine that we were hoping for.
No, but I'm not surprised.
What would they do? How have they possibly disappointed us with this engine?
I feel like in going about the idea of saying, we don't want to give the GT4 owners the GT3 engine, they've made it even more difficult. So they've gone to lengths to try to differentiate the engines by starting with the turbocharged 3-liter engine out of the 992.
Right, the Carrera.
Correct, the Carrera. De-stroking it, so it's 4 liters now.
Which is insane to me. So did they bore it out as well?
Bored it.
How do you get a liter out of that engine?
I don't know. There must have been a lot of sidewall.
That's what I'm saying. That's a testament for how much boost that thing.
I was going to say it's turboed, so they probably had obviously made it a turbo engine, so it probably had a lot of metal, a lot of block.
I'm just saying,
piston wall.
It's a big deal when they take like a 3.8 and bore it out to a 4-liter. That was like, oh my god, we're getting a 4-liter GT3 RS, and then now they're taking a 3-liter block and saying like, yeah, let's make it a 4.
What did they do for the M3 GTS? Was it a 4 to a 4.6?
It was a 4.4.
4.4. Oh, so it wasn't even like a...
No, this is a liter.
That's a lot.
This is blowing my mind. So anyway, the good news is that it is naturally aspirated. The bad news about this is that it's not a GT engine, but of course it gets like a reinforced like top end and a forged crank and all that stuff.
It's forged crank, forged pistons, I'm assuming.
Very cool.
Internals.
So, you know what? This is like the beggars can't be choosers car. They gave it to us, and we have to just accept it for what it is. But the best thing about this is that in the past, the GT4 and the Spyder, although they looked to be kind of the same car, they weren't, because they had different suspension setups. Yep. And they even had different tunes.
Yeah, they were different. They were different setups.
Today, the new one, the Spyder, has the same suspension geometry and setup, and probably I'm sure it's tuned slightly differently just to make sure it's balanced, because there's going to be some...
So obviously the Spyder's heavier.
Right. So I'm sure it's a little different, but the fact that they gave... Basically, the Spyder is just a topless GT4 now.
Yeah, there's two sides to every story, as you know. Is that what the Spyder owners want? Because, here's the thing. You're buying the Spyder to be more of the... little bit more than a convertible, a cabriolet, but you don't want a full GT car,
I don't know, and I think this is the era we're in now, and it's not because the car isn't going to be so hardcore. If you drove this, you'd probably be like, "Oh, my Type R is more aggressive."
Well, I'm not the person to be like, this is not aggressive.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Porsches are not even GT Porsches. They're drivable. It's not the days when a 997 GT3 RS was gonna break your back just driving down the street.
Yeah, the days of that are pretty gone because of suspension and the way you can now just on flick of a switch it from soft dampening.
Well, so that's a good point too. There is no modes in this car. It's always in one mode. So
interesting. I'm surprised they went no more ePASM or whatever.
No, so this is actually going to be a cool car. My fear is that because the 718 is so good, barring the sound of the engine, it's so good that it's kind of tough to enjoy it as a sports car because it's so easy to drive. It's almost numb in that way. It's so good that it's well, what's the point?
Yeah, I've had very little time behind the wheel of them, but the ones that I have driven, because I've driven a GTS and I've also driven just a regular one, and both of them I walked away being the same that everybody says, why did they put this engine in there? It deserves such a better engine, and I feel like they are fixing that problem. I think they finally listened to everybody, and this is one of the first times that I've seen that a company's actually responded to a fuck up.
Right.
Usually they won't admit that they messed up, especially a German car company. Usually they'll be like, well, 9.9, we...
Porsche got it in every sense of the word when... literally every article about the 718 came in Boxster was just about that engine being like, wow, that's a disappointment, great chassis, good work, but here's the other thing. It's probably not going to sound that good. because it's going to have that new European filter thing in the exhaust
Oh,
system.
yeah.
Because if you remember all of the spy shots and all of the spy video on the Nürburgring with these cars,
turboed.
it sounded turboed. Everyone
It's
like
those big charcoal canisters.
yeah,
whatever.
and so now it's like, well, wait a minute, it's like this 8,000 RPM, which is like I'm not complaining about that,
I
8,000
know.
RPM flat six, but it sounds like whoosh.
Yeah, I mean it's we just got to get used to it. We got to accept that things are changing, and I'm just thankful they released a naturally aspirated engine.
Okay, so speaking of things changing, if you have questions about this car, we still have questions about this car. It's not out yet, and it's no PDK. Good job, Porsche, keeping a manual.
Good for them.
But let's talk about something that just came out that, all right, let me grab my computer here because Ford just sent me an email with the power figures of the new GT500.
Well, they need to really, get a win because they really didn't do so hot at Le Mans this past week.
Well, here's the thing. When you get in a Hellcat or a Demon, you're getting in a car that is designed solely for straight line speed. Now, the GT500 has always been the drag car. The GT350 has always been like the M3 fighter.
Yeah.
Well, I believe in my heart of hearts that the GT500 is going to outhandle anything Mopar is doing in a corner by miles. Like psycho amounts.
Now, what makes you say that?
Because I think Ford has better suspension tuning, and I think they have better technology.
I would totally agree.
Everything Dodge makes is like a relic, and they're good relics. Like, I love driving a Scat
They're great
Pack.
relics. I mean,
All right, wait. This is
tell
too
me
much.
about it. Tell
All
me
right.
about it.
All right. 760 horsepower and 625 pound-feet of torque.
Holy crap.
So this is the fastest, or sorry, this is the most powerful street-legal Ford that they've ever made.
So what's the motor?
All I know is it's a supercharged V8.
So it is supercharged.
Yeah.
Okay, so because the rumor for a long time was it's going to be turbocharged, and
They're saying it's the most power-dense supercharged production V8. So they aren't telling me, I mean, one would assume 5 liters because it's Ford.
I'm going to
that
assume it's a 5 liter. I'm going to assume they didn't go with the Voodoo block.
There's no way this is a flat plane V8. No,
I don't
right.
think so.
No.
I don't think they'd be dumb enough to do that.
I think, no offense to Ford, I think they've figured out their engine now, but I think that would blow up constantly if you boosted it.
That was a great idea on paper, but when it came to actual nuts and bolts, it didn't end up working out in their favor. It became a PR disaster.
Well, so this is interesting because your Camaro, right? Your LS.
Yeah.
What is it?
LSA.
LSA. You've got a ZL1. You've seen videos of it before, but like that's a 700 wheel horsepower car, and that thing is like on drugs. Like you start that car and you're like, you hear that cam. You drive it down the street, you feed the clutch, you stall it 6 times.
Yeah.
Like everything about that car is like an event. How cool is it that you're going to get into this like probably 10-speed GT500?
I bet you it's more than 700 crank.
I don't know what the transmission is, so don't take my word for that. But I
would guess it's their 10-speed.
So it's 760 horsepower going through an automatic gearbox that literally anybody can drive.
It's crazy, is the word I would use, because we're at the point where I don't think tire technology has caught up with speed technology.
We're getting crazy with this.
So for all you who don't know me, I have a very vast collection of weird vehicles. I got a Honda Civic and I got a Camaro. And I love them both for various reasons. But, so I have this 700 horsepower ZL1. And if you're on any tire that you can buy on Tire Rack, it will spit you out good. And when I mean good, I mean you'll be in the grass before you know it.
I felt the car hook like one time on drag radials, like Mickey Thompson's.
Yeah. I mean it's outrageous. I mean Dodge has figured it out. It's let's go just put a bunch of drag radials in a container when you buy the car. and
they do give you a box of crazy shit.
Yeah, because that's the only way you're going to get the power out of it.
So that's the thing. I think this Ford is going to be like this Mustang is going to be so plug and play. You're going to be able to just like get in this car and drive a 760 horsepower.
I think what we're going to see in this car is 2 things. And this is just a prediction here. One, this is sort of like what's going to happen with the ZR1. This is going to be like the swan song of the supercharger. Because they're not going to keep making this stuff. I mean, I don't see it in 10 years them making you know, 700 horsepower.
No.
There'll be 700 horsepower, but not supercharged.
No.
I'm surprised they got that through emissions testing, anyways.
They must the way
Must know somebody.
the way GM, Ford, and Dodge are working right now. They must have something that it's average across the board, because there's no effing way that they can sell a ZR1, a Demon,
I know.
a Red Eye, and this GT500 without being in like serious violation of everything.
I mean, I never thought in my lifetime I would be living in a muscle car, you know, era.
Yeah, muscle cars are very real, and we always think like, oh man, the times are changing, everything's dying, everything's going electric, and like that's true. But at the end of this era, they're going out fucking guns a-blazing, man. This is crazy.
This is insane. I mean, if you had told me, you know, 6 or 7 years ago that Chevy would have a 700 horsepower Corvette, Dodge would have a 700 horsepower Challenger, and Ford would have a 700 horsepower Mustang, and they're all not just muscle cars, because there's a big difference between muscle cars and what they're making. What they're making are genuine sports cars.
They're making
maybe
sports
not
cars.
the Challenger, but the ZR.
I'm going to give it to the Challenger.
ZR1.
The Challenger is a sports car. I think that is one of the most dynamically pleasing cars to drive on the market. And I don't know why.
I don't know. I couldn't agree with you.
Nothing on
I've
paper.
never driven one, but
nothing on paper says that car should be good, and it's fantastic. The Challenger.
they've had a lot of years to perfect it.
Yeah, but that's like you should be like getting, you know. And I think I'm having the same appreciation, and I can't believe I'm saying this, for the 370Z. Because the 370Z, no, I'm telling you, if you went and drove one right now, you'd go, oh my god, I'm so glad they still make this. Because 2 years ago, I'm like, can't believe they still make this car.
So I think that is totally you in your, you know, your hazy moment of, you know, my twilight years in college.
Maybe.
The 370Z is a total disaster for many reasons. One, that car should have died 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
Was it a good car? Maybe
it's
10
not
years
fast.
ago when it was good. I don't think it was particularly great when it came out.
It's not fast. It's not attractive. It's not a good looking car.
It never was.
You want to talk about
350 was way better.
You want to talk about visibility, like the Camaro? No, 370Z holds the candle for that.
Motor is horrible.
Motor is ancient.
Horrible. Sounds like a diesel truck.
But you know what? You get in it and you drive it and you're like, this is a sports car. It's like getting in a Miata. I'm telling you, people like the RF and the new Miatas with their higher revving engines. Fantastic.
You are really pushing it deep.
I just think there's a lot of good. Okay, anyway.
So tell me about your Z experience then.
Well,
tell the people about your 350 and how the door hinge fell off.
Okay, so I had a 350Z that I bought in college. I think I was a junior in college, and it had 35,000 miles on it when I bought it. This woman, single owner woman. It was like the dream Craigslist find. And so I bought the car, got it for $12,900. So it was an 03. I bought it in like 08 or something like that. Kept it for like 6 years. I love that car. Got it to 100,000 miles. And it ran really well. I mean, it did weird things like once in a, you know, but simple things like, oh, it needed a coil pack or like.
So how was it changing spark plugs, Tom?
I changed 4 of 6 because I couldn't get to 2 of them. But anyway, so the handle story is that when I went to sell it, I finally went to sell this car, which was like kind of hard for me because I liked it. And so when I finally went to sell this car, the day before the kid came to pick it up, I went to just open the door and the handle came off in my hand.
Now the worst part is that was one of the coolest parts of that car.
This is the best handle. The best part too is there was there was a chip in the handle. Like it looked like you took a punch and like like a rock hit it when I must have been doing 150 miles an hour.
This was a special.
Yeah, so it looked like a punch. It looked like if someone took a hammer and a punch to it, and it was just a rock that slammed into it. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. So my car, my handle, that's how I could identify my car, is it had that little thing.
That's probably what made it fall off.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
But tell us a little bit about like its handling characteristics and.
It was twitchy, and it was the base car, so it had an open differential, and that made it really sketchy. Because at low speeds it was fine, like you weren't going to go sideways, but if you tipped it into a corner, it's a short wheelbase, it's a 7/10 car. When you're at 8, 9, 10/10, things don't return to center very quickly. So everything about that car was like, you just had to be on it. And to be honest, it had no traction control, because the base had no traction control.
Holy shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so my car was a death trap, and it only had 235s in the back. Huh. And I was running like Yokohama S drives or something. But then I put it on like Star Spectre Reses, which like again, I don't know how I'm not dead because I definitely was pushing that car harder than I should have, and it should have spit me out. And it did a couple times. I spun it one time into the grass off a highway exit.
Oh yeah.
But in my defense, which is like a shitty defense, I had just come out of like a mild anesthetic surgery. And
why were you driving?
That's why I can't really talk much more about this because I sound like an asshole. So don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. But back to what we were saying is
okay.
The Z is, I don't know if anybody's been looking, but they came out with some 50th anniversary thing.
Yeah.
It is the saddest, pathetic thing I've ever seen.
Well, so here's the funny thing. Our friend Patrick, he just bought a 40th anniversary. No, sorry. Our friend Patrick bought a Nismo. My friend Nathaniel bought a 40th anniversary. And I'm like, I had to think about it for a second because I drove one
10 years.
at the press event in Wisconsin. I drove a car and I'm like, wait, wasn't that a 50th anniversry?
That's how
and
long
then
that car's
he's
been
like,
out.
yeah, and then he goes, oh, I just bought the 40th anniversary 370. I'm like, Jesus.
They definitely have a cult following. I mean, there's no denying it. And Zs, I hope they make another Z because more sports cars.
I hope they make a good Z.
But lately, Nissan has not done a single thing that has been performance related. I mean, their GTR is just like the Z, this sad, oaf of a car that's just lumbering, waiting to die.
Poor old man of a car. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, they're great for building a platform if you're a drag racer. All right. Anyway, let's get off of this.
So tell me a little bit about what you've been up to the last few weeks.
All right.
Tom.
So I luckily got in with some media associations finally. So I'm bona fide. I'm in the phone book. But like I am trying to get press cards. I'm not quite there yet. But anyway, luckily I've got a good relationship with Ford right now, and they're super cool. They invited me out to the police Interceptor launch, which like for my first solo press event, I think it was really cool.
That's
because
so cool.
I go there and first of all, I'm like I feel like I'm in a sting operation. Like they're like, yeah, we've got this thing. Just come out to this address. It's at the Mass State Police Barracks in Ayer, Massachusetts, Fort Devens, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna voluntarily bring myself to the Mass State Police.
Oh,
so I go there, and literally I'm like the only non-cop. They're all in uniform. I mean, I pull into the parking lot. Normally when you go to these types of things, there's like just a bunch of civilian cars and some press cars because like a lot of the guys come in. I pull in there and it's just undercover and marked cruisers everywhere.
You're probably just like, I hope none of them remember this.
And so I'm walking in and all I'm thinking is like, God, I hope not a soul here knows who my face is. Like, I'm like, I don't want a single one of these guys to look at me and be like, oh, it's you. Now, I do have a squeaky clean record, but I mean, anyway, you get it.
Squeaky clean is...
It's good. It's good. But so anyway, we go in and we're testing 3 cars. We have the 3.3 V6 naturally aspirated, the 3.3 V6 hybrid, and the 3 liter EcoBoost. It's not a 3.5 anymore.
So maybe they downsized.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just there's going to be a video on Winding Road Magazine about this, but let me just give you the skinny. The hybrid is super cool for one reason, and it's because well, 2 reasons. One, the thing can idle for 2 hours and the engine only runs for 24 minutes, and that's with full lights, air conditioning, radios, computers running. So that's
I can watch porn for a long time before the motor.
Well, think about that. 99% of the time when you see a cop, what are they doing? They're sitting on the side of the road. They're at a post. They're writing a report. They're doing their thing. And like, why should an engine have to run? That's dumb, right?
I totally understand. I mean,
All right, so the second part about that is that everyone's like, oh, well, it's a hybrid. Who wants a hybrid? They break. We don't know how to fix that, blah, blah, blah. Warranty on all the hybrid parts, including the battery pack, sensors. Literally, it says in the contract, like anything related to the hybrid system. 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So that's
a bold statement.
Yeah, that covers a fleet of cars for most departments for that entire time. So anyway, that was cool. We got to drive them around an autocross course. These were pre-production cars. They're like the end of the pre-production cars. The brakes on the hybrid were wicked sketchy because it regens, and so when you get into it, it kind of gives you like this 2-phase braking, and it's really weird.
That's not going to bode well for officers.
It's also 400 pounds heavier than the lower models.
That's a big weight.
Yeah, and trust me, you feel it. Like, and not only like me trying to go on autocross a friggin' Explorer.
Now, were these? Here was a question because we talked about this a little bit before, and I didn't ask you this, and this is something I want to know. Were these things loaded up with all the equipment?
One of them was. The hybrid was. The other ones were like police interceptors. They had the ballistic panels in the doors, but other than that, it was just like the standard computer. Or no, they didn't even have that. They just they weren't loaded. Because what happens?
Yeah.
Well, because what happens is the police departments, they'll order their car.
Yeah.
But then they have to go through a third party to outfit the car. To say, oh, this is the RAM bars I want. These are the computers. These are the sirens. These are the whatever. So
yeah, because like that's something that like I was gonna tell you. I'm like, if these things aren't loaded up like police cars, you're probably at least 1,000 pounds shy of the weight.
I don't know if it's that much.
Oh, dude, think about it. All the lights, all the sirens, the computers, all the gear that they bring.
I'll give them 500. But either way, like...
Oh, it's a lot of weight.
It was so noticeable when I went to the 3.3 and the EcoBoost just in dynamic handling.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, the EcoBoost, holy shit. Like...
It's like the pickup trucks.
It is like a Raptor.
Yeah.
It is like, it gets out of the friggin' hole. And now that they have these 10-speed gearboxes, that'll do 0 to 60 and I think 6.8. No, sorry, that's wrong. I'm a second wrong.
5.8?
5.8.
So it's like a little bit slower than like a Charger.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's fast for
That's
SUV.
a fast SUV. The scary part about that is like on an autocross, you're sending this thing and then you're just thinking, how the hell am I going to make this corner? Because like there's no feedback in the wheel. It's a big SUV. Like it's a good driver. Like if I had this as like a daily, fine, great. But like it's sketchy. You can't like it's hard to find the front end limits of these. All right, the next thing that I love about this is that they're all rear wheel drive bias now. So if you could defeat all the devices, you could do some nasty donuts in these.
I'm sure some idiot will figure that one out.
Thank you, Bren.
Yeah, I will say this. I love, the safety that these SUVs have.
75 mile an hour rear crash.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's bonkers.
But I'm gonna get a little old school here. I don't think any of these things even come close to how the Crown Vics were.
So it's really funny because during the press presentation they gave, he literally got up and like there's like all these old cops sitting around and this guy's like an ex-cop from San Diego or something like that, and he's like, and I just want to be clear, the Crown Victoria is not coming back. And it was like I watched just like 20 faces just go, oh, of like these old men who are like probably at the last stages of their police careers, like hoping for Crown Vics to come back. Oh. And they all it's so funny, man.
You know what? There's a reason they built that for 30 years.
Yeah, it's a durable car. But then again, like, there's things they did, like, those doors would all almost fall off because every time a cop gets out, they kick it, and then it slams against the hinge, and, like, those cars literally were just trashed.
Yeah, no, the funny thing is with those is they were slow as hell.
They were dogs.
But what made officers love them is that they could withstand just anything.
They were so overbuilt.
You could drive those things off of like any sort of ledge.
Well, so this is why I think that Toyota should be building police cruisers. Imagine if the friggin' Land Cruiser was a cop car.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about longevity and overbuilt trucks?
I know.
That's the sauce, man.
Yeah, I think the Explorers, and this is just from what I've seen from now and from what I've been told from other people, is the current gen ones. They just rip through transmissions.
Yeah.
They go through transmissions quite often because of the weight. You can imagine how many launches those things do because they go from 0 to 40
constantly
25 times a day.
And cops aren't gentle on the equipment.
No, they start it up, rev it, piss it to the moon,
All right, so before I ask you about what's going on with the Type R, because we saw you have a little brake incident, I want to ask you about Corey, because everyone loves Corey in this video, and everyone's like, oh, we want more Corey. So Corey's your girlfriend. How long have you guys been together?
Corey's my girlfriend. We've been together for almost a year. Like a little bit under a year. It'll be a year on the 23rd.
See, we like Corey. Like all of our friends, that's the nice thing about Corey, is that she's the most easiest person to
all right,
integrate. I can't speak. She's integrated into our group so easily because we first met her at a track day. So she came to Canaan, and that's where we all met Corey.
Was that the first time? You didn't meet her before?
Nope.
That? I brought her to a track day.
Yeah, you brought her to a track day.
Shit, that was
hot
ballsy.
Track day.
That was ballsy.
That was wasn't that the track day
that was the 90-degree? Yeah,
we were literally dunking our heads in water coolers, and we're like, "Nice to meet you," as we're almost passing out from heat stroke.
Shit, you're right. That was the first day, and then after that, she held her own at the 4th of July.
Yeah. No, she did good. So
Corey's awesome. She is a total car nut. and she enjoys living life to the fullest.
All right, enough about Corey.
So.
What? No, I just don't want to give. I feel bad. She's not here to defend herself. If anything,
I think she would agree with everything I say.
What's
Most
going on
things.
with the Type R? Because at Palmer, you had a foot to the floor moment. Almost went through a tire wall.
Wrong pedal. Foot to the floor.
Yeah, not good.
So Type R update. So for all of you who don't know, I track a Type R 2017. There's a ton of history on it. You can just watch his old videos.
Yeah, suspension, aero, G-lock pads, gyro disc brakes.
Yeah,
but other than that, it's pretty much plug and play. Like
it's a very simple.
It's
setup.
like a bolt-on mod car. You know what I mean? Like,
no, there's nothing crazy. It doesn't. I don't wear harnesses. I don't have a roll cage in the thing, or it's not like my old car. And I like it that way.
Yeah. All right. So what happened?
Let's take it back. So I did a bunch of track events before this, and I flushed it. No, I didn't flush it. Excuse me. I bled it. I bled the brake fluid. Everything felt fine, and it felt fine right up until the moment it didn't feel fine.
Yeah, it looks it because you can watch that lap, and suddenly you're coming in and you're confident. Oh my God, you're confident, and then you're suddenly there's poo everywhere.
It goes very quickly from a oh my God to a oh my God.
And it's hard on the perspective of that video is tough because that's like a downhill braking zone, and it's probably the scariest braking zone on the track.
Especially that way.
It's not the fastest braking zone on the track, but it's the scariest braking zone on the track because there's no way out.
There's no way out. It's a 90-degree corner, more than 90-degree corner.
Yeah.
And it's at a downhill angle, and the video looks slow.
It's 80 miles an hour, though.
It's more than 80.
Yeah.
When it happened, I thought it was like at 75, 80, but if you look at the camera and if you really want to be crazy, it starts at like 95.
Oof.
Is when it starts to let go. So imagine going 95 on an off-ramp at half the distance that you usually normally supposed to start braking at, and there's nothing.
Yeah. So I'm glad you're alive.
I'm glad I'm alive too.
Yeah, I caught a picture of you because you were coming in, and I'm like, oh look, Eddy's here, and I'm click, 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 and then I'm like, why is this group still out?
Yeah, no.
But all right, so what have you done to the car now? Because obviously, like, you gotta flush that fluid. What we think happened was
old fluid. I ran the same fluid in my old car, so I had a bottle, and I think I picked the one up that was old. Probably got water in it.
Yeah.
So always check your fluid with a tester.
I just bought mine.
You bought one. I have one. I never use it, and that was a stupid.
I want to get sponsored by the tester people. I feel like that's the best. That would be the best thing to have a Tedward logo on. $10, guys. Go on Amazon. $10. Get your fluid tester to tell you if you have water in your brake fluid.
Yeah, I mean there was definitely water in it, and that's what happened because the fluid came out. It wasn't completely crap, but it wasn't.
You don't always see it. It's not like
see it.
No, it doesn't change. Like
so, I dropped it off at my shop that I go to, Eurotech Motorsports.
Thank you, Farley.
Farley's awesome. And I had him just flush the hell out of it. But the brake rotors and pads looked perfectly fine, so they're still in the car.
Good. I think because I know you did that thing. You went into panic mode, and you were like, "Oh my God, my brakes!" And you're like, "I gotta change the rotors. I gotta change the pads. I don't trust anything." And I'm like, "Just change your fluid."
So, we're gonna test it.
On
our little vacation.
Yeah, we're going up to Vermont for the 4th of July. We're gonna have some fun up there. Another side of this is that our best friend bought a McLaren 600 LT.
Yeah, I know.
Which still can't really wrap my head around. I don't want him to die in this car. Luckily, McLarens are really safe, but the car's really fast. And
it's ridiculously fast.
Yeah, it's a weird experience to have this so close to our little family because we know a lot of people with supercars.
Exactly, yeah. I mean,
but not like this. Not this close. I don't call those guys. Like, there's people that have offered me to drive their cars, and they're great guys. Like, I love all the guys who, like, whether it's Ben V's R8 or Kevin's GT3, stuff like that. Like, Doc's close, but he's in Pittsburgh with the Lamborghinis. But I don't know. It's not like Ben V's coming and picking me up like, hey, yo, let's go get sushi.
Exactly.
Like, that's not happening. But, like, I mean...
It's a different world when this car is just normal.
It's normal and it's close to us and it's just like right there. That being said, David is also opening a car storage facility in Woburn. It's going to be called Garage 42.
Or Garage 420.
420.
That's what I call it.
And that's probably where this podcast studio is going to be going. So I think...
Let's talk a little bit about you. Okay? Let's talk about Tedward. What's coming up? What can we expect? You know, we can talk a lot about my girlfriend, but at the end of the day, who gives a shit?
Well, what do you think my viewers need to know about me outside of my content? I mean, I pretty much.
So, I don't think people know. I think people assume, and this is something that I've noticed, is that all you do is YouTube stuff, which just isn't the case.
What else? It's hard for me to think about it though. Like, what else do I do?
No, I mean, like, this isn't your full-time job.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's funny when people are like, oh, so you do this full-time. He wishes he did it full-time. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. It probably no. The funny thing is though, I bet if you actually added up the hours that I put into this, it probably is a full-time job.
Totally.
Like, I definitely spend 40 hours a week doing this.
Totally. When you're not at work, you're working on the computer.
Yeah. So there's a lot of effort that goes into this job, but I don't know. I like it, and that's the thing. It's like super disappointing when stuff doesn't take off. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I try not to get caught up in views and like, oh, like, is it popular, whatever. Like, because I feel like bubblegum YouTube stuff, and like, I don't mean to be like a dick and name drop and be like, oh, call out culture shit, but like, this is what happens. YouTuber starts out, they're their authentic self, or they're doing something, then they get a little bit of fame with like a viral video, and then they become Parker, and now you're vehicle virgins, and that's kind of like I'm not trying to shit on him. Like, Stradman's definitely kind of become a little bit like that, but the thing that he's figured out is that every video is almost exactly the same, and that's what YouTube viewers watch. They want to see that everything is identical the whole way across, which is hard for me because I like to mix it up. I like to have different styles. I like to experiment with my videos and my videography style. So for me to like do the same video every single day, like, because this is what he'll do. He'll get up, it's whoosh, then goes for keys. The keys are sometimes in a weird location. He puts it in the microwave or whatever. He goes out and he goes, which one? Boop, boop. Gets in the R8, gets in the Aventador, gets in the Jeep, whatever. Goes for a drive, and then he's like, and then he has his little intro things, and everyone has their own style with that.
And he eats his fucking fast food.
And so, like, that works because people know what to expect. And, like, I get that because I watch television like that. Like, I like watching, like, my guilty pleasures are, like, Family Guy, American Dad, because, like, every episode is the same. And so I get the bingeability factor, but for me, I don't know that I have that in me to do that every time.
First thing, let's just go down with the presumption that if that were the case, you'd have to go and find a Lamborghini and snowdrift it every single day of the week.
I can't do that.
And that's just not possible.
If I did the things I do regularly, or the things that people like that I do, I think I'd be arrested in hours. Like, I couldn't, it's not sustainable. People want like mountain road rips in the M3, and they'd be like, why did you lift? I'm like, because it's 150 mile an hour straightaway in a 35 mile an hour zone. Like, sorry guys, I'm not going to do that. So, I mean, but at the same time, when I go and do a video, like the last video I just did with the helicopter.
I love that video.
Dude, I'm so in love with that video. And we had so much fun making it. Look, it's currently been up for like 10 hours and it's not even done 500 views. So that's just like a stake to the heart. And it hurts. Because it's like, what did I do wrong? Or did YouTube just not show my subscribers? And like, what a shame, because like,
such a shame.
I'm hanging out of a helicopter without a door and I get 500 views. Meanwhile,
fucking Honda Civic Type R video.
This 45-minute turd's probably going to do 2,000-3,000 views because we're going to be sitting here chatting and people are going to be interested in our topics.
It bothers me, and the biggest one was that Type R video. That one drove me up the wall because that video...
Oh, Rebecca's Type R. Yeah, so Rebecca's Type R video, the white one, it did 250,000 views or something. And it's fine, but there's no actual story. Like, the whole video is just we went and picked up her Type R. That was it. And I filmed it, and I remember coming home and being like, I don't have a video here. Like, there's nothing, there's nothing for me to show you. Other than like, yep, it's a Type R, here we go. And we're just bumbling along. We didn't go on any mountain roads, we just drove it home.
Yeah.
So then, like, Rebecca,
3 months later.
3 months later, she's like, hey, like, are you ever going to make a video out of that? And I was like, man, I felt really guilty. I'm like, yeah, I did go along with you for this whole thing, and I brought cameras, and I made you do all these shots.
She bought us cookies.
She bought us dinner. Remember?
Oh, shit, you're right. I'm sorry, Rebecca.
She bought us dinner that night.
Oh,
and so
God.
I was like, you know what? I should do that. Plus, like, all the guys at the dealership saw me with cameras. And, like,
they were so nice.
And they were super nice, and you feel like, man, I owe them something. Well, so I put together this video.
It's terrible
and it's
video.
like, not, like, you hate it. I like it because
Oh,
I was proud that I made something out of that footage. And then it just took off. And I'm like, so all I need to be is like a really attractive Asian woman. Is that what I have to be?
So.
I'm not, like, look, I'm not.
Listen, you're ready to go in drag.
I'm not. I'm too hairy. I don't think I could do it.
Just get a sponsorship by Dollar Shave Club. You're listening.
Oh, man, Dollar Shave Club. Bring it on. I'll shave everything.
No, but what I'm getting at is it is totally a stab in the heart when you put your heart and soul into a video and it does like 300 views.
Yeah.
And then, you literally slap this shit film together. And, okay, it's not a shit film because it really isn't. It's not that bad.
No,
of a
it's
film.
good. It's good.
It's kind of cool. It's cool that she picks it up. And at the time when the video came out, those cars were still
That
cool.
was big SEO.
And we both showed up in Type Rs. We showed up in my Type R to pick up her Type R. It was cool. So that was a cool factor. But I remember you being so butthurt about it.
It sucked because I was like, my God, I've put so much effort into some videos that got like 600 views over the course of a year. Or, okay, the Performante Snowdrift video. Let's talk about that for a second because that video, we went out and shot that. And when I shot that, while I was shooting it, I was like, I am making YouTube gold. And I am going to get so many effing views. I came home and our roommate, Chris... I came home and he was just here and he goes, oh, what was your day like? And I come in with like bags of cameras, okay? And I said, I just filmed my first 1 million view YouTube video. And he's like, whoa. And I showed some of the footage and like this Audi crashing into the snowbank. And it was just like unbelievable. And I put it together and I uploaded it. And I was like, oh, Ted, we're going to be famous. And then for 8 months, it did nothing. I think it got 20,000 views, which isn't bad, but I'm like, I felt guilty because here I am, my friend Safi at AVI spends all this time for me. I mean, he likes doing it too, but he went out of his way to give me snowboarding footage, to do donuts in the middle of Boston, all this stuff. And it wasn't him, it's tinted. You can't tell who's driving it. But like to do all this stuff. And like, you feel like, as the creator or a content creator, you need to like give them something back. And what you're giving them back is a video. But even if that video is great, if it gets 3,000 views, it's not great. It's like being an artist and you're not appreciated till you're dead. And that sucks because like, you get like this amazing thing. And unless it's validated by the public, unless there's 1 million views on it, it's not a good video. I'm sorry, that's just the way it goes. Sucks. And then 8 months later, it just started going viral on Instagram. So I'm watching this thing go viral on Instagram, and I'm so excited because all I could think was, finally, someone is seeing this. Like, it was like Car Throttle, Drive Tribe, all these people were reaching out to me, and it was unbelievable. They're like, hey, can we use your footage? Can we use your footage? And it started in Russia. Some random Russian thing tagged me. Then it went to Saudi Arabia. Then it got all the big outlets. And then I started to get greedy because I'm like looking at all these things. I'm like, they're getting like 10 million views on their Instagrams. And I'm like, so where's my payout? I'm looking at my YouTube channel, and it's like, I'm not getting any traffic from this. No one's finding it. So then when Drive Tribe picked it up, I asked them specifically, I'm like, can you put my link to the video in your Facebook page? And they said, yeah, of course. And they were super cool. They did, and I think that's what started snowballing the clicks. And then YouTube picked it up. So suddenly it went from doing like, 20 views a day to like 300 to 3,000 to at one point it was doing like over 1,000 views. What was it? It was doing like 1,000 views a minute. Like, I didn't even understand. Like, it was... So then I ended up with 3.5 million views, and I feel like, okay, good. Job done. I did a good job. But then comes the downswing.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, tell us the huge up. Because you just told us it was... You were riding on heaven. We were on vacation. We were drunk as fuck.
Dude, I was famous.
We were
as far as I was concerned, I was famous.
We were so happy. We were sitting in the Grand Cayman Islands, like, in heaven. Literally, you, like...
I was watching my dream come true. I was going on to my analytics on YouTube every single morning, and I would watch it because it would do this cyclical thing. So every day, this is what would happen. You'd wake up and you'd see it, and it would grow and grow and grow and grow. And you'd be like, oh my God, we're doing 30,000 views an hour. We're doing this, we're doing that. And then it would come back down. And you go, oh, maybe that's over. Maybe it's over. Maybe that's done. Maybe the video is done. And then the next day, it'd be bigger. And then the next day, it'd be bigger. And so every day you go through this wave of like watching it go up and then crash back down. And then go back up and then crash back down. It got bigger and bigger and bigger every time. And then when it finally crashed, when it finally stopped getting views, because it hit like 3.3 million and then it kind of just tapered out.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many times you can watch.
At first, it was like, man, I did good. This is amazing. Good for me. Then you're like, man, this feels like shit. I'm back down to like, 10,000 views a day. And then you're like, shit, I'm down to like 5,000 views a day. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm nothing. I'm no one. I'm a one-hit wonder piece of garbage. And then you're like, man, like this video isn't even like representative of my channel. So that's the other side of it. Is like you gain all these subscribers. I probably got like 10,000 subscribers out of that, which kind of like it should have been more than that. Like 3.3 million views. Like am I that unlikable, Edward? But so anyway, I got these subscribers. But now whoever subscribes to me from that video, they're gonna start seeing like my new content every time I push something. Like, okay, so now 10,000 people subscribe to me, and they're like, oh, what's next? That's not next.
The problem is, too, and this is another thing. Your videos, like you said previously, are different. They're all different. They go, it's the way the cookie fucking crumbles.
Right.
And what everybody was expecting was a Veyron snow drifting,
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen.
Well, and the funny thing was, everyone in this area was really cool because they were like, people were reaching out to me with like supercars, and they'd be like, "Hey, next snow, I'm game." And the reality of that is, we don't get snow like that all the time. That was
lucky. So here, it's either too much or too little. There's never that 3 to 5
during the day.
Yeah,
that never happens. Snowstorms are nighttime events. So by the time you're out there, you're done. But what happened was Boston essentially shut down.
Oh yeah, I remember that day.
The city was shut down. Oh, and then the other side of this thing, right? So I made two big mistakes in this video. One, I said something really dumb because the guy in the Audi crashed. I'm high on filming this. I get back in the front seat of the Range Rover, and I said like that guy wasn't with us. And what I was trying to say was like, if you see somebody out like being a hotshot like us in the Lamborghini doing donuts, like we're track drivers. Safi certainly knows what he's doing behind the wheel of a car doing donuts. I said what I should have said was don't try to imitate something that you're not proficient at. But I said don't try to be like us. And it sounded so cocky and really shitty. And I look, like I will
I didn't even listen to that part.
And I got a lot of comments being like, this cocky douchebag. And like, yeah, I'm wearing like a sideways like Tennessee hat because my ex-boyfriend was from Tennessee and gave me that hat. And I liked that hat. And I needed a hat. I needed a visor that day because it was snowing. And I needed to be able to hold the camera without the snow in my eyes. So that's why I wore that hat.
Oh, I remember that.
Right. But and then the other thing I did was all right, and I wouldn't have done this. I still wouldn't have done this. We didn't go back for the Audi driver. And there's only one reason we didn't. He hit a soft patch of snow. He didn't crash into a wall. There's no fatalities, no airbags. He went poof. Like, that's like some guy curbed his wheel in an E39 trying to outrun me on an off-ramp, and he smashed into the curb, and he was fine. But like, you think I'm going to go talk to that guy as he hobbles off the highway? Fuck no. You crashed your car, you're fine, your ego is bruised. I don't need to go pet him on the head and tell him how, oh, it's okay. No, he was fine, guys.
I didn't even know that you got, slammed for that.
Then they didn't even fucking help him. Because the next shot is Tiff going, we gotta get out of here! We gotta get out of here! Which is really funny, because it wasn't even in relation to that. I think that clip was somewhere else. It's like from a different part. I put it there to tell a story.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, I mean, we can go back on a lot of videos, and all of us have said things that maybe shouldn't have been on camera.
Well, and I think the other thing is when you're a small channel like me, you don't go into videos assuming that 1 million people are going to see you.
Yeah.
Like, you talk the way you would talk to your friends, and then suddenly you're like, oh boy, that's a big audience. A lot of people are going to be really mad about that. But end of the day, like, I'm really proud of that video. I love the music. I use like this great French music, and I just kept it super lively and light. I didn't want to make it this the thing I love most about that video is it's not like this hard rock, like, we're fucking hard. We are the coolest motherfuckers on the planet.
The law.
It's like this adorable French music while they're like promenading on snowboards through a parking lot behind a fucking Lamborghini. It's
I
so
know.
cool. So like I always try to keep like an interesting flavor to these videos because I don't want just the same thing over and over again.
Well, I mean, like the helicopter video. I mean, you had that's a perfect example of, you started out with this, long montage of you talking about life and how it never goes the way it's supposed to go.
I was just trying to say,
it was.
like, I need to stop planning everything because this is a total spur of the moment. I'm like, you got to leave a little free time for, like, random shit.
Yeah,
like,
no. I'm saying, like, the voiceover of you being like, well, I was too scared. And
all right. So the helicopter video originally had a totally different voiceover.
Totally different vibe.
It was more like just me talking about, like, where I am, what I'm feeling, and all this shit. And then I'm like, I can't waste this footage.
Yeah, footage is too good.
I could put that over anything. I could talk about that right here with no footage.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what you should do. You should talk about it on this and not waste it on you hanging out of a helicopter.
Yeah.
But no, I think the story of the Lamborghini in the snow is a perfect example of, never give up. Because really, you were so down about that video.
20,000 views.
For a year.
For 8 months, I was like, I would go back to that, and I just felt guilt because I was so proud of the video, but I felt like I didn't deliver to my friend who made it happen. Like, I felt like I owed him so much because it was the coolest footage. It was this amazing thing, and I'm like, he deserved this to be seen. Like, we all deserved for it to be seen because it was so cool.
It was so cool. And it is. Obviously, it ended up working out. So,
but that goes to show you, like, if you're putting stuff on YouTube, you never know what's going to take off.
Exactly.
My first million view video was on Winding Road Magazine, and it's me and Powen tooling around in this Turbo E36. And that's another one with a lot of mean comments.
That's the one where you got crap for the shifting, right?
I got crap for the shifting, and I'm like, guys, this is like a 200,000 mile E36 with 400 pound-feet of torque. Like, you think I'm going to slam gears in this thing? Like, the thing will grenade. It will just, it's like tissue paper. Like, you think I'm just gonna... It's like literally just nuts and bolts, and they're like, man, this guy can't drive a stick. I'm like, there's like 400 videos of me driving a stick shift.
Yeah, I just, sometimes the comments are good. Most of the time they're bad, though.
Well, you know what it is? It's not that. Most of them are good. The problem is the good ones don't stick with you. The bad ones do. I wake up every morning and I check my community page and I see what people have said, and 10 people could say, man, that was great, good editing, blah, blah, blah. And you're kind of like, whatever. Or like, first. Okay.
I think one of the best videos for comments was the Raptor rescue video.
God. No, not the Raptor rescue video. The stuck in the snow
That's
one.
what I meant, yeah. Sorry. Well, both of them.
Okay, so Raptor rescue, everyone got pissed that we used a chain.
Mind you, the Raptor had just come out. Like, this was
brand new.
Brand new, and I'm not even going to deny it. That truck got the shit kicked out of it since the inception of ownership,
and it's still doing everything it's supposed to do. Yeah. So the everyone gave a shit because we used a chain, and I'm like, well, sorry guys, we didn't have a strap. We were driving down the highway, and there was cops blocking an off ramp because a Camry had gone off the road, and this whole group of people, there were like 4 people in that car, just like hanging out outside, and David's like, let's help them, and I'm like, no, they might be scary, and then he's like, there's a cop there. I'm like, you're right. So we go and I'm thinking like, geez, we're out doing donuts anyway. I'm like, do I really want to interact with the police right now?
I know.
And so then we were like, well, hey, we can get this out. We don't need to wait for a tow truck. And the cop's like, yeah, have at it. We had a chain. That's what we used. Sorry. And by the way, if a chain breaks, it doesn't like snap back in your face. It just breaks.
Well, it depends on how much pressure you're applying.
No, but it's a chain. It's like once it contracts, it just falls. Like none of us were in harm's way with this.
I don't know.
So the other side of this,
it doesn't matter. I mean,
and it works. So like, suck a dick.
Nothing happened.
Like that's all I'm saying.
And then when we got it stuck, we got it beached like a whale. Everybody lost their shit on that.
Well, and the thing is, you got to remember that was like 3-4 hours of being stuck. So the footage you're seeing isn't like, oh, and
Real
now
time.
this happened, and now this happened, and now this. It was like you have no idea.
It's half a day.
Hey, that snow was like 4 feet deep.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like... So, another thing with that video is it really doesn't capture... It captures us happy, but realistically, we're all freaking out because we were supposed to leave that day.
We were supposed to leave a while ago, and the other thing about that was...
It wasn't our property.
It wasn't our property. We also you could not even tell by the video how steep that was.
Oh, I know. I don't know if we ever went back and filmed where
I
it
did.
happened.
I have a video of it. I never
Because
published it because it was like an awkward video, and I was just like, no one gives a shit.
He basically drove over essentially a rock wall.
You should not drive a stock vehicle of any kind, even a Raptor, down this thing.
It was like one of those like rock walls that's meant to show the plot of land.
It was not only that, it was like a granite slab.
Yeah, no, it was terrible.
So anyway, it was just... But the video got views, and I didn't care. I didn't care that it literally has the same amount of likes as dislikes. It's like 20,000 likes, 20,000 dislikes.
Oh, yeah, people were giving us so much crap.
Yeah, they're like, you fucking go back to Starbucks. And I'm like, what's wrong with Starbucks?
Oh, it was great. And the funny thing is like, David's out there with a shovel, like, full on, like, just getting snow out. And, yeah, he goes to Starbucks all the time.
Well, it's just funny because, like, people are like, these libtards. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Like...
Libtards.
Like, you go back to Starbucks. And I'm thinking, if I handed you an orange mocha frappuccino, you would suck that motherfucker down so fast, it'd be like, like, this is bullshit.
Well, right? I remember they were all like, mall crawlers.
Yeah, go back to the mall.
Put it in low. I'm like, you think we didn't put it in low?
Look, the car doesn't have a front locker. We had the rear locker on. And then, like, you'll see it turning. We're turning because we're trying to, like, jimmy the car out.
Oh, my God.
People anyway, this is too much, but... We could do an entire episode dedicated to that day.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you guys, have any interest in hearing, like, the behind the scenes on a lot of these videos, there's a lot more than these videos show.
Oh, the other one, I filmed a Senna for 2 hours. That one got,
that one pisses me off.
6,000 views. I'm going back out in that car later this month, though. So
I hope so. I hope that one catches on, because, again, that one's a great one. But
no one had Senna videos except me and Shmi at the time.
Yeah,
it was like me, Shmi, and like Top Gear.
So, M3.
Yep.
911, M5. Just a quick overview of all three.
Okay.
And I want to hear...
Here's what's wrong with all of them.
What's wrong with all of them and what you're doing to fix and alleviate the pain.
All right, let's start M3. M3, the brakes are so effing loud now because like it's like I'm the most embarrassed person driving this car now because now they're loud when you come to a stop, which is fine. I don't mind sounding like the Green Line train. That's okay. The problem is when you lift off the brakes, they're still touching the rotors just a little bit, so you go... And it is horrific. So you have to like basically stand on the brakes to get some heat in them, and then it goes away. But the problem is it does it again and again and again. Is it cool? So you have to be like in traffic, just fucking ripping on the brakes, so you're not blaring this. Now, what I've learned to do is now it's summer, windows up, AC, radio.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel bad for whoever's next to me, but
welcome to the club, my friend.
So that's just an annoyance, but I'm getting a secondary air code, so I'm either going to code it out, but I'm probably just have Jake fix it because I want to do the rod bearings and motor mounts anyway.
Yeah,
I think it's quick.
It sounds like you're too far gone in this situation.
Yeah. Okay, M5 is great. It needs... Shut up.
M5 is... No, you couldn't even say it with a straight face.
Mechanically it's sound. It needs a rear main seal, which makes me want to... Shut up.
Oh my God! You really just said M5's great.
It is. It runs and it's fine. It leaks, but it's like all right. So the only. So all right, yes, it's leaking oil out of the engine. Okay, and,
that's like.
But the problem. All right, the problem isn't that like I don't care if it leaks a little bit of oil. It's an M5. It should leak oil. It means it's oil. If there's oil in it, it'll yeah. Okay. But I had done the valve cover gaskets and everything, and then I'm like, why am I smelling oil again? Like, what the fuck is going on with this car? Then it's the rear main seal, and it'll leak onto the exhaust. So, like, if you've been driving on the highway for a while and you come back, you come to the stop sign and, like, the red light at the end of an off-ramp, and you put the windows down, and then you're like, oh, God, and it's just burning. Where you're like, who's the diesel truck? You're like, oh, it's me. Oh, God. Okay, so that's happening, but that needs to get fixed. And I'll probably do, like, bushings and stuff on it. Porsche, two things. It needs the axle re-greased and booted, basically, because it has a torn CV boot. If that can't be done, then it's just going to get a replacement axle. I don't really give a shit. And then the other thing is that the brake bias, that rear brake bias, when you stand on it, the right rear is going to be the first to lock up. So what I think is happening is the left rear is actually not engaging almost at all. And that's what's causing that thing. But what's sketchy about it is that when you stand on the brakes hard, the car rotates clockwise.
Like
So,
you don't need it. You don't need any more rotation in a
to
rear
make
engine car.
to make that car more of a widowmaker. When you hit the brakes, it spins.
Yeah. Oh,
you have to counter steer on the brakes. So yeah, but that's about it with the cars.
You saw your bloody pedal.
Yeah, the Redline pedal. That's like the last effing priority in the world. But thank you, David, for that. I love that.
It's only been 2 years.
Yeah, well, no, it's a year because it was
it was a year. You're right.
Yeah. So
no,
yeah.
the 911. The problems that it has are minimal. I mean, obviously we don't even know how long they've been like that. I mean, they could have been like that since
the brakes. No, I know the guy who had it before me had it like that because he warned me.
Oh, okay.
He was funny because he's a big PCA guy. He had like a 993 Cup car, right? Like this guy was
right, so he wasn't fucking around.
This guy was no fucks. Like he took when I first saw the car, he was like, I can't let you drive it. Like, which to be honest, like I don't let anyone drive that car either because it's like fucking deadly. Like you the only way to know how to drive it is to drive it, and if you do drive it hard, like it's gonna bite you. But yeah, so he took me out for a ride, and it was like going out with with one of the instructors. Like you get in, you're like, holy shit, this guy's not messing around. We were like in an industrial park, and he just sent this thing on like the old tires and everything. And then he was like, yeah, and when you stand on the brakes, and he just left this huge fucking patch of that right rear locking up, big cloud of smoke, and I was like, I must have this. And I just gave him money immediately.
So now that you finally, something that I
love it when you interview me like this. This is funny.
Well, funny fact, I was a big communications major in college.
The biggest, huge.
A lot of radio stuff. I was a radio
DJ
DJ from both of the colleges that I went to, so
Okay, so what do you want to know?
So, now that it's been almost a year of driving on track, and, you talked a little bit about this in that voiceover that never, got used, but, I want you to tell people that why you didn't go on track originally, because I remember you had so many reservations about it.
Yeah.
Whenever I brought it up to you, you'd give me some excuse.
Right.
Whatever it may have been, the car,
sure,
your whatever.
Money,
whatever it was. 'Cause all of it was not justifiable, as we know now.
Yep.
But how you overcame it, and now that you have gone to a calm event, or tell us about mass tuning and calm events and the differences for people who maybe want to get into the sport of HPDEs or even time attacks, and what's a good way to go about it?
Yeah, so the reason I didn't want to do it was, so there's people, like, I definitely have all these fears and reservations about, like, what would happen if, right? So my big fear was, like, track etiquette, because my biggest fear is always, like, screwing up and either hurting myself, my car, someone else, because I did something dumb, or, like even like the thought of like a point buy was terrifying to me because like I'm so afraid to like my biggest fear was like I come back into the pits after a session thinking like everything was fine, and then someone comes and just yells at me like, you're a piece of shit, I can't believe you didn't let me pass, or like this or that, or like, God forbid you hit someone. So it's almost like, how like people have these fears where they can't go outside or they can't drive because they keep thinking that they like hit a child. Like you've heard of that. So that's kind of like how I was about it. So how I got over it was you guys literally like last minute, night before, wasn't planning on doing a track day, forced me to sign up for the mass tuning event. And I was just going to go observe because I was like, well, I want to at least go to a track day and understand what it is, because then maybe I'll be okay with it. Like I'll dip my toe in the pool. So I signed up, I went, and I had a blast. And the thing was, I started with mass tuning, which is like, it's just a club. It's not like a racing club. It's just like it's a Facebook group, right? So mass tuning is not like a racing thing, but they put on these events. They're dirt cheap and they're like very loosely organized.
Very loosely organized.
They do it. It's more like grid life, where you kind of just go out like, oh, let's go out, let's drive. And you have a few run groups, and they just rotate through the run groups, and they give you way too much time on track. You get like 6 sessions, 6 20-minute sessions, which is like abusive as fuck to your car.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, it's too much.
So I went out, and I was terrified, and I had, oh my God, she's
Kristen.
Kristen, oh my God. So Kristen, I was like looking at who was there, and I saw Kristen, and I knew this girl, and I know she's a good driver, and I'm like, you're sitting shotgun on my first lap. Like, I need you to instruct me.
She can drive.
Because she can drive. B, I know her. And C, I know she'll be nice to me. And she'll, like, she'll coach me in a way that I think I was like I was too sensitive. I couldn't have someone out there yelling at me, and I've been with shitty instructors, as evidenced by an NSX guy.
I was gonna say, ask the NSX guy.
The NSX guy is a huge. Oh my god! Whatever. He's getting his on the Topher's channel right now. The comments on that video are hysterical. So anyway, Kristen took me out. She showed me the ropes. She got me comfortable with like how to get on track, where to go,
where the blend line is.
Where the blend line is. Like those are the things that I was nervous about. It wasn't about the driving. Like the driving, I knew that I'd be like reasonable and be able to improve. It was all the little things about coming into a pit, letting someone pass, passing someone else.
It was the etiquette.
It's the etiquette. That's what scared me.
It's the being able to go to a track day and not look like a fool.
Exactly. I did, and because I'm a YouTuber, like, do I want to go to a track day where like a lot of people in this track day? It sounds like me. There's brakes outside.
They're watching your stuff.
A lot of people are watching my stuff, or at least know who I am, whether they like me or not. That's not the point. They're not like, oh, these are all my fans. It's more just like these people know who I am, and if I do something really dumb, but anyway. So
back part two.
Part two. Sorry, we keep having camera issues. So I was afraid of the etiquette, and then like once I got comfortable and I was like, oh, I can handle my car on track. I know what's going on. I did a couple more of those events just to get the hang of it, and then
we had a blast.
We had a blast. It was like we just were out with our boys and like having a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, again, I wouldn't say we were learning much because we're at the same track. And
well, I was learning a lot because I was learning how to push.
No, I mean like track-wise. Like, we weren't learning lines. It wasn't instructors, really.
No. So then I started, then this is the first year I've been with COM, which is Corvette of Massachusetts, which really, it's kind of like a dated term for this. But it's like the oldest racing club, and it's a racing club. It's not like a sports car club, it's a racing club. Yeah. So I was like, you know what, I want to go with these guys. And we went out, and I had this amazing instructor, Jeff Baker, total, like, psycho behind the wheel, so experienced, so driven, dedicated, like, focused. And he just like whooped my butt into line and got me into a rhythm that I was like, I can't believe I'm driving Palmer like this.
First time.
Like, scared the shit out of me. I was so scared of Palmer. And the first session, I was so scared of Palmer. But so anyway, coming back to like, what's the advice to give somebody? Like, the advice to give somebody is get out and drive. Go do it. Like, get a helmet. Go do it. Even if you don't have a helmet, borrow a helmet. Like, I don't even have
You didn't have a helmet.
No.
You still don't have a helmet.
I don't, because mine just expired, so I got to get a new one. But, like, I've been borrowing helmets. Like, just go drive. Go do it. Make sure your car's safe. That's all you need to do. Make sure your car's safe, and as long as you're not cocky, because I see cocky people out there, as long as you're not like them, as long as you have the self-awareness to be like, oh, I'm afraid of this happening or this happening, then you've got the tools to be successful out there.
So, if you could give some advice about how to become a better driver, what would you say? Because, like, I mean, I've watched you from the beginning to now, and what you're doing is kind of what I wish I did in a lot of ways. I mean, I definitely started off with a car that was way too fast, way too powerful, and I actually...
you went backwards.
How do you say it again? Transgressed or whatever?
Whatever, regressed.
Regressed back. And that was a very smart move on my half. I feel like you literally drove the thing stock for last year, basically the entire time, except for some, brake pads? And they weren't even full-on track pads.
All I needed were EBC yellows just so I wouldn't, like liquefy them. That was it. So my goal was, like, learn the car as a stock car. Once you're a champion of that and you're like, okay, I'm exceeding the limits of the car as a driver, then it's time. Now the car is above me because now I'm on like these sticky boys. I got the NTO 1s. I've got these ridiculous brakes.
Slight overkill on the brakes, but
I'm so glad. But what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to come out like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go get a GT350. I'm going to get something ridiculously fast or an M3, like a new M3 or M4. Those, like, I had someone out on the track at Palmer, like, didn't give me a point by, even though I was, like, up his ass. And then he flexes on me on the straightaway. And, like, that's fine, whatever. Like, I don't know his deal. I'm not trying to, like, shit on this guy. I don't really care. It's, like, no skin off my ass. But, like, it was one of those things where I'm just like, oh, so that's, like, how power can kind of, like, save your lap in, like, in a straightaway. Like, if you've got a tuned M4 and you're laying down 500 wheel... like, yeah, you're going to run away from me. Like, congratulations. But, like, for me, I'm like, I love being in my little torqueless M3 because it's like everything I'm doing, I'm earning it. Like, absolutely. I'm earning my keep. And I'm like, I am focused on my lines. Power's not going to save me at all. I mean, not that the car's slow. I mean, it's not a Miata, but, like, it goes to show what like a car that's just set up well will do, and that's why that's why Miata is always the answer.
So long story short, so would you recommend to people just drive the car that they have and just get out there as much as possible?
Yeah, I mean
That's
we've seen people autocrossing like Mercury Cougars, man. I mean,
yeah,
granted it was heavily modified, but
I
like,
almost lost to a Mercury.
I'm just telling you, like you see stuff out there and you're like, wow. And the best drivers aren't the ones with the best cars.
No.
You see people out there doing stuff in cars with like literally 180 horsepower, and they are laying down seconds faster than people out there with 400 horsepower.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show that definitely being able to read a track is way more important and way more gives you way more confidence behind the wheel than having a lot of horsepower.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
having a good amount of grip, because it doesn't matter how fast your car is or how well it did at the Nürburgring. At the end of the day, you're the monkey behind the wheel.
Absolutely.
It's not going to do it itself.
If you can't wheel it, it doesn't matter. So, yeah.
It makes no difference.
All right. Well, hey, guys, that's the podcast. Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. My affiliate link for Corsa Performance Exhaust is coupon code Tedward for 5% off your order. So that's a good like $100 in your pocket.
We need to talk about that story of the Corsa exhaust. That's a great story.
Of installing it?
No, the story of me telling you to buy it, you regressing.
That'll be in another podcast.
It will be. That's what I'm saying.
So don't forget to respect the drive, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.